Hey everybody, Holly Warner here, owner and founder of Holly Warner Health, and also known as the Sassy Carnivore, coming at you with some info on carnivore. Okay, so I've had some people come to me and ask me a little bit about kidney health on carnivore. I gotta tell you, this whole too much protein or high protein diet and worrying about your kidneys, even if you have some sort of renal disease, milder, not severe, there's no science behind this. The science was weak at best. So there's nothing really concrete out there saying that you can't have protein or you shouldn't have a high protein diet with any kind of kidney issues or renal failure or renal distress. There are other things that are much more of a concern to me and to a lot of clinicians who actually know what they're talking about, MDs and specialists alike. And that has more to do with, your insulin and diabetes. Having diabetes is going to be way more of an issue for your kidneys than a high protein diet. So let's cut that myth right out. You're not going to be in trouble with too much protein. It's not actually going to be hard on your kidneys. I've been testing patients, including myself, and none of those markers for the kidney specific have come out of range or been crazy anything. It's all been relatively just fine, to be perfectly honest. It's been great. So kidney issues on a high protein diet, we're not really worried about it. Now, I'm going to also go into the fact that people talk about kidney stones. Now, I had a propensity for kidney stones. I've had kidney stones before, going onto a high protein diet, eating all meat. Everybody said, what about gout? And aren't you worried about oxalates? And aren't you worried about this? And aren't you worried about that? And I went, well, hold up, hang on a second. It's a high meat diet. It's lots of protein. I'm not worried about any of that shit. I'm not worried about kidney stones. I'm not worried about kidney stones because I drink something called snake juice. It sounds gross. It doesn't come from a snake. It's essentially just a freaking electrolyte drink that you can make yourself. It's supplements that I was taking anyway that are extremely good for the body. So let me go through the list for you. First of all, I like the Himalayan salt. It doesn't come from the sea. It is not sea salt. That would be gray Celtic salt. So for this purpose, I like to use Himalayan salt. The pinker the rocks, the better. I typically would make a salt brine and drink it first thing in the morning. The reason why I drank it first thing in the morning is because you sleep for 8 hours or 7 hours or 9 hours. You wake up in the morning, you've been dehydrated all night long. The first thing you need to do is rehydrate the body, and water alone doesn't do that. So I add in my salt brine. Now, also, our cortisol is going to be at our highest. That's being pumped out by our adrenals. So the first thing in the morning, we want to be supporting our adrenals. Well, guess what feeds our adrenals, folks? Salt. Salt feeds your adrenals. So one of the first things I put into my little morning concoction that I drink is some salt, or I make a salt brine and then I add that in. It is the first step to wellness on any diet protocol, on any lifestyle regime, including carnivore. Something else I like to add is I put potassium chloride. It's going to pump up that cell wall. So sodium and potassium chloride, both of those give you a pump. So if you're somebody that works out at the gym, you're like, God, give me a pump. These things give me a pump. Guess what? Don't need to do that. You could just have this shit. Gives you a pump. No joke, because it feeds that cell wall. The amount for bodybuilders is going to be a little bit different than the amount for the average bear. And since I'm not a personal trainer and most of my patient base are not bodybuilders, I'm going to be giving ratios to people that are everyday average, just like me, who maybe go to the gym and work out, but are not necessarily going to be powerlifting. So any of the ratios that I talk about, if you are somebody who powerlifts or is a bodybuilder or trains really hardcore, you might want to increase these a little bit because you're going to burn through more of these electrolytes. And that's essentially what this is an electrolyte drink. So the sodium and potassium chloride are something you want in there. They're one of the electrolytes. They're going to hydrate you. Bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate is basically baking soda. Yes, I want you to drink baking soda. It's actually really important, especially if you're somebody that is at risk of kidney stones, because it's going to help break them up. It's actually really, really healthy for your kidneys. And a lot of you who are on either keto or carnivore, you are fasting. You're doing intermittent fasting. And if you're doing intermittent fasting, some people find that it grabs the kidneys and says, wow, expel, and you start to get rid of kidney stones. So if that's the case, you want to be breaking them up before you're getting rid of them. If you are somebody who's prone to kidney stones and you're really worried, you can take something called chanca piedra. Shoot me a DM. I'll write it out for you guys, totally. It is fairly easy to find. It's known as like the stone crusher. So if you do have stones, it does help with that. Otherwise, getting that baking soda into the sodium bicarbonate is really important, which is again another ingredient in what they call snake juice, and something that I do recommend. Something else that helps the kidneys is, of course, magnesium. And yeah, magnesium does also, the citrate version, it helps to break up kidney stones. It's not going to be the end all and be all if you've got these massive kidney stones, but it's definitely going to help. So that's something that you want to have in there. You want magnesium anyway. Most of us are deficient in it. If your vitamin D is low, chances are it's actually your magnesium. So if you're testing for that, don't do your serum, do your RBC, which is what's in the tissue. It's a more accurate indication of if you're depleted in magnesium, and most of us are. So again, when you're making this the electrolyte cocktail, I tend to suggest adding a little bit of this into it. If you don't want to grab the powder, and careful because too much of the citrate can go the wrong way, there's one called magnesium, it's Mag SRT. It's by Jigsaw Health, and I have it in my Carnivore protocol because it's a sustained release. They've patented this process somehow. It's slowly released throughout the day, but in higher doses. So high enough that you're it's super bioavailable. It's a very absorbable format. Your body's going to utilize all of it, but it's not going to be so much that it's going to make you poop because it comes throughout the day. It's really, really good. Again, it's by Jigsaw Health. I love it. If you want me to send you a link to that, I can. Let me know. It is a dimagnesium malate. And I know that I've mentioned before, I'm not a super fan of malate, but in this particular slow release or sustained release format, I actually really like it because there is no gastric distress. And that's huge. Now, I know some of you are like, okay, give us the recipe. I want to know how to make my snake juice. This is not my recipe. It comes from someone else. I'm going to tell you exactly what goes into it. Okay, so here's the scoop. You can Google this guy. He does like the snake diet. I forget what his name is, but if you Google snake diet, he's going to come up because he's literally everywhere. So in 2 liters of water, I like a filtered water or a spring water. I use Stream Water is the company, and I order cases of it. So I'll take 2 liters of that, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of the potassium chloride powder, half a teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt, or I make my brine ahead of time and I just throw in like a tablespoon of that, 1 teaspoon of the sodium bicarbonate, which is going to be your baking soda, and then I put the half a teaspoon of the magnesium. You can use magnesium malate, you can use the sulfate, you can use the citrate, just kind of pick your poison. That's it, really. This is really good when you're fasting. Now, if you're not fasting, then don't drink snake juice. This is for when you're specifically fasting. Or if you feel like your electrolytes are getting a little bit low, you can just pop a little salt in the palm of your hand and give it a lick. Lesbian jokes. Super easy to keep your salts up and your electrolytes up. It's really, really easy. If you find that you're using this and you're pissing like a mofo, you're drinking too much of it. So tone her down. Just have some regular water. I don't want you peeing like crazy every 5 minutes running to the bathroom, because that's going to be counterintuitive. That's not healthy either. That can cause problems down the road. So what I want you to do is get adequate amounts of it, get your electrolytes into you. It is going to help you guys who are fasting, you gals who are fasting. Snake juice is awesome for fasting. If you go to the gym in a fasted state and you're like, oh, I'm super lightheaded, drink this shit. I'm telling you, you'll have a pump. Your workout will be great. You'll be fine. You won't be lightheaded anymore because you have the electrolytes your body needs to perform. It's not the food, it's the electrolytes that are going to give you that whole lightheadedness. So try some of the snake juice, give it a whirl. Bet you you're going to like it. Come back, let me know how that worked out for you.